Ready? Have this council meeting come to order, if you would please. We'll have Haley call roll.
Potter,
Here.
Schomer,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Verbeck,
Here.
Lee,
Present.
Wilson.
Yeah. Present.
Okay, I'll do the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What is that?
It's the door stopper.
First item is consideration of council meeting minutes of December 1st. Is there any, had all chance to look at that? If you have any corrections or additions, take a minute to look at it, let me know.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
Second. Go ahead.
Motion's been made as second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Consideration of the October Treasurers Report. Ariana.
Wow. So you have two. The top one is the October and the bottom one is November. I'll start with the October Treasurer's Report. Fiscal year to date, 1.1 million in the general fund surplus. That's not bad. Water sewer fund is in the negative. As we expected, it's a little bit better than the negative 758,000 that we originally budgeted. However, there have been expenditures that have come up with engineering and the Rainbow Ridge that was not budgeted for, so that might be a discussion next month or in February to do some kind of adjustments or review. The top 10 general fund revenues for October are all in line. We did get a CPPRT distribution of 61,000, but otherwise sales tax and cannabis tax are typical. Go to the second page, the top 10 expense categories. See all the other professional services throughout the funds. That is for our annual maintenance on our Tyler Technologies ERP system or software. The improvements, except buildings, that was for the street project on West 5th?
West,
West 4th? Or was it East 5th?
for the MFT.
Yeah, no, not for MFT. There was a street improvement that Gibby worked.
East Fifth, or
East
what's the
Fifth.
street?
East Fifth.
East
excuse
Fifth.
me. Okay, so that's, you'll see that again in November as well. It was within 2 months, there was a lot of invoices from Mad Dog and Mill Creek and some equipment rentals. Cash balances total $10,277,650 in Blackhawk Acre Trust, and in our Illinois funds, we've got $14,952,230.51. So total cash or equivalent as of October 31st of 2025, $25,229,880.81. You'll see a detailed budget report on the final 12 pages. If you have any questions, you may call.
Anybody have any questions for Ariana right now? No? Okay. Is there a motion to approve Ariana's Treasurer's Report for October?
I make a motion to approve her treasurer's report for the month of October.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion been made and second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay.
Okay, moving on to November. General fund took quite a hit this month of November, negative 688,000 for the month to date. But fiscal year to date, we are still in the positive, almost 500,000. Water sewer still in the negative. Sales tax and cannabis tax seem to be in reasonable. Interest on the now and money market accounts, I did want to address that. The 40,000, that includes a negative interest on the pools. However, our Illinois funds balance and the general fund is also posted there, and we earn so much more interest in the Illinois funds as opposed to Blackhawk Bank and Trust. So we do try to keep as much money down in Illinois funds as possible and let that interest build. I did just initiate a transfer for $3 million from Illinois funds to get our full cash back to a reasonable claim on cash for the general fund. So you'll see this balance of the 14 million decrease next month, but it'll be in Blackhawk Lake and Trust instead. Look at the expense categories. Insurance and bonds was our major expenditure throughout the funds this last month, and that was for our insurance renewal, property and liability. We also had the second half of the East Fifth Street project and our annual rollover police pension bond for $380,000. Blackhawk Lincoln Trust total balance is $9,618,492.71. Illinois funds, $15,519,003.67. Total cash or equivalent as of November 30th of 2025, $25,137,496.38.
Yeah, everybody sees that under the top 10 expense category, that traffic signalization that was repaired, that $64,969. Remember, that's all going to be reimbursed on us on that too. Just to let you know, you're seeing that. Huh?
Thank you.
We haven't got reimbursed for it yet, I don't imagine.
No, that's an annual thing. We'll get that and you file it in July and then we'll get it
Right.
in, I think, August or September.
Okay. Anyone have any questions for Ariana's report?
I make a motion that we accept the
Boy,
report for November.
Steve has something real quick.
Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
no, go ahead with the motion, and after the second, I'll make a comment.
Okay. You made a motion?
I made a motion.
There's a second?
Second.
Karen made a second. Go ahead, Steve.
I just want to point out that part of the reason behind the large expenditures in the month was the annual payment on the bonds, the hearing that we just held.
Right.
So that is payable December 1st, and that's the $380,000 of it. And then the interest on that at $80,000, almost $81,000, in addition to the other annual expenses. So it comes due, it slams us every December.
Yeah. Yeah, that's been quite a few years now that we've been doing that ever since
Right.
we got the bonds. Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. All in favor by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Thank you, Ariana. Good report. Okay, next, consideration of the semi-monthly and miscellaneous bills. Doug, you're up.
The regular payables for this period are $96,924.83. That includes a $304.85 credit. There's a miscellaneous voucher of $12,000 for a total of $108,924.83. The top five bills are Meridian Health for the medical premiums and admin, Mid-American Gas and Electric. The median amount is $30,218.75. Mid-American is $14,944.36. Streamline Architects, that's for the work Milan Park schematic design, or schematic. $4,725. Hawkins Incorporated, which is the A-Zone hydraulic, I'm not even going to say it, can't even spell that word.
Pusilic.
Yeah, $4,715. And the fifth one is Mad Dog Concrete for $3,505. And that is the top five. Are there any others on here that anybody has any questions about? If not, I would make a motion that we pay our bills in the amount of $108,924.83.
There's a second? Second. Okay. We have a roll call vote on that, if you would, Haley, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Motter,
Yes.
Shomer,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Trevek.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 7, consideration of the 2025 Police Pension Municipal Compliance Report, and that's done by Ariana. The floor is yours.
So this is the municipal compliance report for the police pension fund for fiscal year ending April 30th of 2025. Total cash and investments, including accrued interest for the fiscal year end, was $16,238,411. Total net position, $16,246,916. Estimated receipts for the next succeeding fiscal year from deductions of salaries from police officers and other sources include $128,200 in employee contributions, and then estimated receipts from other sources, including investment earnings of $1,014,900 and the municipal contribution, which I will request in the next agenda item, of $700,661. Estimated amount required to pay all pensions and other obligations and meet the annual requirements of the fund include $1.2 million in paying all pensions and other obligations, as well as the annual requirement of $700,661 for the tax levy. Net income received from assets for the current fiscal year, $1,398,979, for an assumed investment return of 6.25%, but the actual investment return was 9.202%. So we exceeded that by a lot. Total number of active employees are 16, and the number of regular retirement pensioners is 14. Total amount dispersed was $773,985. There's one disability pension for $35,604, and survivors and child benefits, we have 3 of those at $125,119. Total $934,708 was paid in pension and benefits last year. Fund ratio of the fund, according to Lauterbach and Aumann's private actuary, is 76.34%. We do not have the Illinois Police Officers Pension Investment Fund's actuarial funding ratio at this point, but last year's was 80.49%, and the private actuary was 73.82. So I could assume that it's going to be about 81 or 82 minimum. So we are doing great with the state funding requirements. The unfunded liability carried by the fund, along with the actuarial explanation of the unfunded liability. According to our private actuary, $5,055,411, and accrued liability is the actuarial present value of the portion of the projected benefits that has been accrued as of the valuation date based upon the actual valuation method and the actuarial assumptions employed in the valuation. The unfunded accrued liability is the excess of the accrued liability over the actuarial valuation of the assets. Presented and signed by Nathan Lundeen and Danielle Dwelly.
Okay. And that's,
Do they tell you, I don't, do they tell you on what the state's average is for the other cities, where they're at in comparison to us?
No, but there is a biennial report that's available on the Illinois Department of Insurance, the IDOI website. I think that's it's the odd years, so they should have just published one. They would have published it last year for 2023, so the next one will be published in 2026 at some point, and that will compile all of the, pension funds for, including IMRF, all the TRS, police pension, individual funds, as well as fire. So that's a cool little tool you can look and compare to local municipalities. So last time I checked, nobody was close to.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, thank you.
So in our area, nobody's close to what we're doing.
anybody else have any questions for Ariana? If not, I'll look for a motion to approve her compliance report. We'll do that with a voice vote too.
I'll make that motion to accept it.
Second?
Second.
Okay, Jody second that, okay. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay. Number 8, consideration of the 2025 police pension tax levy request. Ariana's got that one too.
So you'll see a letter from Chosky Goodlow. Our attorney Laura Goodlow has written a letter requesting his pension fund be, tax levy be $700,661. The back page has a synopsis that Steve prepared. I did not check it over, so I don't really know what highlights you wanted to talk about that.
That's less than last year, isn't it? That amount? Or has it been pretty stable?
It's very stable, it's just a very small reduction from
It was
last
like,
year.
yeah, I think it was like 710,
Yeah,
710 last year.
which is the estimate that we had used, the 710 was the estimate that we used, because that carried over into the appropriations ordinance from June, July.
Okay.
So when we get down into the actual tax levy, we've made a small adjustment of about 9,500.
Any other questions on that? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the pension tax levy request.
I'll make a motion.
Second, anywhere?
I'll second that.
All right. We'll do a voice vote on that. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay. Number 9, consideration of the Village of Milan 2025 tax levy ordinance 1809. And that usually falls into Steve's lap on that one.
Yeah, all of you have a copy of the ordinance. It was presented in preliminary form for discussion, consideration, and actually, because the state law provides for it, at the November 17th meeting. There have been 3 line item reductions from the November 17th. The police protection levy is down $10,000. The police pension levy, because of the adjustment down from the $710,000 that we just talked about, is down about $9,450. And the audit is down $2,500. We've got better pricing. Prior audits had been by O'Donnell Partners, and coming up for this next year, we have better pricing for the audit. So at that time, we were saying that the change, depending on what the assessed valuation ends up being, which is a function of the township, the county, and the state of Illinois, and not the Village of Milan, that the growth in valuation more than offset it. We're about $1.55 per $100 assessed valuation on our portion of the property tax bill collected in 2025. In this year, we won't know the final rate until the valuations are finalized. And that is a process between, typically between February and about March to May, depending on how quickly the state responds to Rock Island County. But those will be finalized basically in first quarter and early second quarter for the tax bills to be set out in June. We anticipate we will be at or below the $1.55. So there is net increase between this year's total levy of a little over $1.6 million is $10,000 more than last year. But again, the rate, because of the growth in the valuation, the new development that has taken place, will mean that for the same value property, now if the property's been reassessed and it's gone up, that's a different case. That's not handled by the village. For the same valuation, the rate will be at or below last year's rate. Questions?
If you have any questions, you go to Cybers School of Tax Property, learning how to read your tax property bill.
That's right. And in some cases, it includes reading between the lines.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I mean, like I say, we always try to hold down property taxes whenever possible, but we try to do it every year, not whenever it's possible, I should say. And that's one of our priorities, and it was down lower in 2025 than it was in 2024. So, I mean, that's pretty good, keeping it down. And so that's our main goal, too. So I'll look for a motion to approve the tax levy ordinance 1809. A motion to adopt. That's the correct terminology.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the fiscal year 2026 tax levy ordinance, number 1809.
It'll be 2025.
I'm sorry?
2025.
Well, the fiscal year is 2026.
26, yeah.
So that's, it will be, and it's also property tax collections for calendar 2026. We have to pass it no later than the third Tuesday of this month, I think, Ariane. So it's a little bit confusing because the tax cycle actually covers from 2024 through 2026. It's only in Illinois.
Whatever year you want.
Okay, so was there a motion on that?
Yeah.
Doug made a motion.
And
I'll second.
you second it? Okay. We'll have a roll call vote on that too. Haley, please.
Shomar,
Yes.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Verbeck. Lee,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Mater.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. Okay, number 10, consideration of a water service agreement between the Village of Milan and Rainbow Ridge Water Association. Matt is here from Rainbow Ridge to discuss that, and I'll have you take the floor.
With our new podium.
Everyone, we're working towards getting kind of planning approval and working on the loan application for getting the water mains extended out to service the Rainbow Ridge Water Association. We submitted what we call the project plan report to them in early October. They picked it up, they reviewed the document, and I think they're ready to give what we call preliminary approval of the report pending the next agenda item that you have, which is the agreement. What basically the EPA has requested is basically agreement between the Village of Milan and the Rainbow Ridge Water Association with regards to basically Milan extending their water distribution system out there to serve them, and basically Rainbow Ridge's agreement to connect their customers to your water system and basically dissolve their water association and abandon their system. So if you take a look at we have a copy of the agreement, all it really details is, there's kind of three components to it. One is kind of the deficiencies in the Rainbow Ridge Water Association. Obviously, they have the one well on the restricted status. They do not have a secondary power supply, emergency generator. Hydromatic tank is seeing severe corrosion, needs to be replaced. And all their waterworks system is below grade and it needs to be put above grade. So, obviously we determined that cost-effective solution for them is really to connect to the Milan water system. And as far as what Milan agrees to do, it's basically to connect or construct all the water mains to service the Rainbow Ridge subdivision, run new water service lines from the new water main to the property line, put the meters inside the house so you can meter their water usage for billing purposes, and then also abandon their well and then demolish the rest of their water system. The water mains will be basically abandoned in place, but their well and their, lack of a better term, well building that's below grade, all that will be removed and disposed of. And then as far as the Rainbow Ridge, what they agreed to do is they're agreeing to allow their customers to connect to Village of Milan's water system. They're also agreeing to allow the village to abandon their well and their water system. And then EPA also wants to see that they are going to basically dissolve their water association. So once everybody's connected to your system out there, the well's abandoned, the waterworks facilities are demolished, then they're going to go through the process of dissolving the water association. So once it's completed, it no longer exists, and stuff as an actual entity. So this is the agreement that's kind of before. It'll require, obviously the village to approve and sign. Then it's going to go to Rainbow Ridge to have their board sign this document. We'll send it down to the EPA, and then I'm hoping in January we'll get what we call a preliminary environmental impact determination. They call it a PED for short. And basically that is approval of the plan pending public comment. So we'll have to have a public hearing on the project, which I'll conduct, for you, and stuff as far as the public hearing. I'm anticipating if we can get that document in January. Hopefully we can have it at one of your 2 meetings in February, and then we should get our planning approval, easily before the March 31st date. And the March 31st date is critical just because we have to have planning approval to get scored for funding in the next fiscal year, which starts July 1st. So that's goal number 1, is to get the planning approval done. And then we'll talk about your next 2 items, which are also related to the Rainbow Ridge. We're simultaneously working on planning approval to get you eligible for funding, and then we're also working on the loan application, because more of the loan application documents we can get completed, more what we call priority points we're going to get for scoring purposes, and hopefully that's going to help our chances to get funding in this next fiscal year cycle. Any questions on the agreement?
Any questions? That's pretty sure. Yeah, we've all been
Just moving through.
well versed on what's going on with that, so it sounds like it's good to go, okay? So is there a motion to consideration of the water service agreement with Rainbow Ridge Associates?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay, we'll have a roll call vote on that. Haley, please.
Humphrey,
Yes.
Verbeck,
Yeah.
Lee,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Mater,
Yes.
Shomar.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried. So number 11, consideration of loan applicants, authorized representative to sign the loan applicant documents, and that's what you were talking about, Matt, next.
Yep, so the next 2 items on the agenda are on the loan application side. So when we do anything through the IEP revolving fund loan, 2 of the things I like to get done early on in the process is, 1, the village or city the applicant needs to authorize somebody to sign all the loan application documents. So document in front of you is basically to authorize your city administrator, Steve, to sign all the loan application documents as they come in. So we've actually got as many of the documents completed as we can. Some of the documents we can complete before bidding, and then there's a few documents that get completed after the project is bid. So we do have a lot of those documents ready. So once you've authorized Steve to sign the documents, and we can start processing those through to Steve for signature and submitting to the EPA.
Do we need an alternate
No,
signature?
no, you don't need. No.
Okay.
Yes, because there's going to be quite a few documents coming down as time goes by for that, too.
Yeah, there'll be a number of documents, and we'll send them, to Steve and Sean with an explanation what the document is, what they're signing, and stuff as part of the loan program. Most of the documents, obviously, the documents we download from the EPA's website for the loan application, and then we have to submit or fill in all the pertinent information for, the community that's applying, type of project that we're applying for. So we have to kind of fill in all that information. Some of it's, financial related, so we're working through that with Steve and Sean on the financial side and everything. So.
Right. Yeah, and all these processes is what we've all been talked about and what we've had meetings over, that all these things have to be signed by us in order to go all the way through the EPA.
Yep.
Right. Okay, that being said, anything you want to else bring up other than that, Matt?
Not on the authorization for signature.
Okay, so I'll look for a motion to approve a representative to sign the loan application documents.
I make the motion.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, number 12, consideration of an ordinance authorizing the Village of Milan of Rock Island County, Illinois, to borrow the funds from the Public Water Supply Loan Program.
Yeah, so this is a document, anytime you borrow funds through the EPA loan program, whether it's on the wastewater side or the water side, you have to pass what they call an authorizing ordinance. And in a nutshell, the authorizing ordinance is really, authorizing the village to borrow funds from the EPA for their particular project. EPA has a kind of a sample ordinance that we draft the ordinance for. We just tailor it to the specific project, which program we're kind of going through. So if you have the ordinance in front of you, there's, most of it's legal in nature, and stuff, and how they do the ordinances and stuff. And we had the village attorney review it, and then we always send it down to the EPA. Their legal division, like to get their blessing on it before we bring it to the village board, just because you have to publish the notice and the ordinance in its entirety, and depending on newspaper, it can be a little costly to do. So we typically like to make sure we get it right the first time. So as far as the ordinance is concerned, we basically just kind of detailed the project and the cost estimate. We put in there that the useful life of the project is going to be 30 years or longer. We're hoping that we're hoping funding doesn't change. The idea here is we're hoping we get that there's going to be no loan component to it. But if there is a small loan component to it, the 30-year life, and stuff tells the EPA that we can make the loan up to 30 years if there is a loan necessary for the project. We put in here, the project's going to be a little bit under 1.4 million. We just put in there authorized up to $3 million to borrow. We always put a number in that's higher. You're just authorized to borrow up to a certain limit, and stuff. But you're only borrowing whatever the bids come in and all the eligible costs total, and stuff. So it's just really authorizing you to, as far as a ceiling in which you can borrow from the EPA for the project. We'll have to fill in, if you haven't done so already, 10% of the registered voters in Milan, so we know, how many, registered voters would have to sign a petition for it to go to referendum, because once it's passed, it's going to need to be published in 10 days, and then there's a 30-day petition period on the ordinance. So, and I think there's no additional outstanding ordinances that are senior to this one that really come out of the water fund. Some of the sections in here, it kind of reiterates this in here that village administrator is authorized to sign the loan documents. Just to make note, when the actual loan agreement comes in on the project, the actual mayor will sign the actual loan agreement, but all the other loan application documents will go through Steve for signature. So, and then, like I said, once the ordinance is passed, it does have to be published within 10 days, and the ordinance, along with what they call the notice of intent to borrow funds and right to file a petition. It's another document that goes with the ordinance in the publication. So the notice of intent to borrow funds gets published right in front of the ordinance, and the notice of intent to borrow funds, it's kind of like a Cliff Notes version of the ordinance, and stuff. If somebody doesn't want to go through all the details of the ordinance, it basically summarizes what the village is borrowing the money for, the amount, and then if they get 10% registered voters, and stuff, it can go to a referendum. So those two documents will be published in the paper. I'll work with Sean that, once you get a proof of the ordinance, told them to send it to me. I'll take a look at it, make sure it's organized correctly and stuff, because EPA's flexible on certain things, but there's certain things that they're not very flexible on, and I've had communities forget to publish the notice of intent to borrow funds, and you have to start the whole process over. I've had a community that didn't publish within the 10-day window, and they had to go back to the city council and reapprove the ordinance and go through the process again. So they're kind of a stickler on certain things in the process with this ordinance. So, and then if we get through the 30-day petition period, no petitions are filed, then there's a no referendum certificate that the clerk will complete. There's a legal opinion letter that the village attorney will make on the ordinance, and EPA has a kind of a sample letter that they like to see for that I can get to the village attorney to, if you haven't done one before, to do one of those legal opinion letters, and then we'll submit that document into the EPA, and that's all part of the loan application. So once that process is complete, it's just additional priority points we'll get in the scoring system.
Is it still the 31st of next year of March that you'll know about getting all those loans forgivable?
We'll know whether we're on the intended use plan for funding, probably the second week in June. So we'll know then whether we're getting funding for fiscal, which will be fiscal year 27, which starts July 1st at 26 and goes through June 30th at 27.
Yeah,
Is
that
that
would,
project gone out for bids yet?
No, it won't go out for bids. If we're on the intended use plan and we get funding for FY '27, then I would anticipate advertising for bids probably sometime in August. And then we have to, EPA, they have a minimum 45-day bid period. So if we advertise in August, we'd have to take a look, maybe your second meeting in September or your first meeting in October, we'd probably be able to award the project.
yeah, I think we have a very good chance of getting refunded all this money by the EPA from, especially your situation over there too.
Yeah, and they're gonna get, the nice thing about this project is, they're on the, what we call the restricted status critical review list for having only one well. So there's kind of three buckets you get priority points from, and stuff. The first bucket is, if a community or public water supply has any violation notices. So if you have a violation, you're gonna get extra points for your project. In this case, you're gonna get extra points because Rainbow Ridge Water Association only has one well and on the critical review list. The second bucket of points comes from what I term project readiness. So this is, the loan application documents we're doing. We're working on the construction drawings and bidding documents right now and getting the IEPA construction permit. We get through all of those. We're going to get additional points for all those points for project readiness and the loan application. And then the last bucket of points, you don't necessarily have any control over. Those are typically just demographics of the community. So they're going to go in and take a look at census data, take a look at community population, median household income, number of seniors. There's different components they use for getting points out of that particular bucket. So we just take a look at all the scoring system and we just try to do what we can for the applicant to get as many points priority points as we can to give them the best chance for funding. So this project is a little bit ahead of the game just because Rainbow Ridge does have the violation.
Well, they're lucky to have you. You're doing a great job representing them and helping us with the project on top of that. I really appreciate it.
And I appreciate it.
Okay, this is ordinance 1810. So I look for a motion to adopt ordinance 1810.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and second. We'll have Haley call a roll call on that, please.
Lee,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Tomato,
Yes.
Schomer,
Yes.
Helmsberg,
Yes.
Rebecca.
Yeah.
Okay, motion carried. Yeah, I look forward to this. It's going to be a great project. We're going to be able to expand the population of the village, bring in some more money for water bills, and the only downside is on it, the public works has got to go farther to plow the streets. But that's all right,
No, I hope it's a win-win for both the village
Yeah.
and Rainbow Ridge. I know they're excited.
Yeah,
So.
well, being on that critical list, I think, like you've explained to all of us before, I think we got a very good chance of getting that
Yeah.
money all returned back to everybody and increasing the population. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, this time we'll go to committee reports. Dan Verbeck.
I have nothing.
Jody?
Nothing.
Karen? Oh, okay.
I'll give you a break.
Dan?
January 12th at 5:30, we'll have our park meeting on Dixon.
Okay.
So, you'll be here.
Be down here?
Yep, you're right here.
Okay,
I believe so anyways.
yeah.
I don't know what Streamline will be here.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if they got a presentation.
Well, that way we got more room for public comment on
Yeah.
it too, so.
Yeah, so-
Okay.
We'll be sure and get the agenda from you ahead of time so we can get it posted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have any 48 hours on that one.
Yeah.
Okay. And Doug?
Nope.
Lincoln?
Oh, I'm sorry I was late, Mr. Mayor. I thought the meeting was
Sorry.
interrupted,
I think your longevity kind of excuses you from that.
Mr.
Not a problem. And nothing on your end, then, Lincoln?
No, I didn't.
Okay, Steve?
Nothing.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to citizens' opportunity to address the board. Anybody have anything they want to say? Huh?
Nobody signed up.
Well, nobody said anything, but nobody has anything else to say? Okay, we're gonna go into closed session, and probably won't be
There will be action. after
will be
this.
action to come out after that, okay? So I'll make a motion. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, saying aye? Aye. Okay.